Right now, a local school board will be looking for new leadership after accepting their superintendent's resignation.
And we're telling you why the principal of Jefferson Middle School is on an extended leave of absence this morning.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for sticking with us on your Friday, January 17th. I'm Leah Lynchine.
And I'm Josh Breiter. We're starting in the weather center this morning because Hattie, you are talking about some snow and cold on the way.
Yes, all is quiet right now, but by the evening commute, I am expecting snow here across southern Wisconsin. So what you need to know as you head out the door this morning, it's just cold, but not as windy as it was yesterday. Take a look at our current wind chills. Not seeing as many negative numbers on the map this morning, which is always good news. Your temperatures through the day will climb to highs in the upper 20s. We're looking at a high of 28 here in Madison, with southeasterly winds increasing just a little bit. Now, those snow chances, as I mentioned, ramping up after about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Snow becoming likely. Looks like you are going to have to shovel tomorrow morning here in southern Wisconsin. We'll have more on those snow totals coming up in Maine weather. Right now, though, on the roads this morning, no major issues to report here in and around Madison. Travel on all the major routes into Madison still going at posted speeds. Again, this is going to impact travel around the area, especially tonight into Saturday morning. Stay tuned for all the details if you have travel plans this weekend.
All right, Hattie, thank you. As Hattie just mentioned, several inches of snow are on the way for us here in the Madison area.
And that snow comes as UW students are on the way, too, returning to campus after winter break. Christina Laurie joins us with how that might complicate things. Christina.
Things are going to get messy both on the streets and around town. Traffic is always busy on campus during move-in, and this weekend, cars will be competing with snowplows. It can take up to 16 hours for crews from Madison Streets Division to completely clear the roads. So that means they'll be out and about on campus the same day and time university residence halls reopen for the spring semester. That's tomorrow. If a snow emergency goes into effect for the city of Madison, that could make things even more complicated. That's why they're asking anyone planning to be out this weekend to plan ahead and even get updates through their phones.
Sign up for those alerts on the City of Madison winter website. There's snowplow updates, or anytime our plows are out, we try to send these alerts out so people know what we're doing and what our strategy is.
If you need to get anywhere near campus this weekend, please leave plenty of time. The city says they're putting down salt and plow as needed, but everyone will need to give the plow some extra space. Now ahead at 6:30, we'll tell you why the city says it's extra important for everyone to follow parking rules, including those who might be moving in this weekend. And those updates, it's really as easy as going to the City of Madison's website. I have a link on our website, and you just type in your phone number up here and
there you go. Technology, I tell you.
Gotta love it.
Christina Laurie, thank you.
Thanks, Christina. The Beloit School Board will be looking for a new superintendent after accepting Stanley Monroe's resignation. 2 top officials filed a formal complaint alleging Monroe used his position to intimidate staff. In a meeting, the board accepted Monroe's resignation agreement unanimously and left room for new leadership to be appointed as soon as next week. The board will start to interview candidates for interim superintendent this weekend. They're hoping to have that temporary position filled by Tuesday.
We will need your help turning things around, rebuilding relationships and trust.
With Dr. Monroe's departure, some of the systems he had in place will also be eliminated. This includes a 3-tier teacher rating system that was unanimously removed at last night's meeting. Treasurer Megan Miller called for new officer elections for all 4 positions by Tuesday, saying it's time for change. The board is asking for parent input and help going forward, starting with a public listening session Sunday afternoon at 2.
Madison's new school superintendent will be announced in February after all 3 candidates were able to speak to parents and students. Last night, Dr. George Eric Thomas spoke at La Follette High School.
Goal 1 is every child. Every black kid, every Latino kid, every Asian kid, every white kid.
Thomas is the deputy superintendent for the Georgia State Board of Education in Atlanta currently. We heard from 2 other candidates this week as well, Dr. Marguerite Vanden Weingard and Dr. Matthew Gutierrez.
The principal at Jefferson Middle School is going on an extended leave of absence after a number of incidents this school year. The district notified staff and parents that Tequila Kurth made the decision herself. Former East High School principal Mary Kelly will be stepping in while she's gone. The district spokesperson won't tell us why Kurth is taking leave, if they're on the hunt for a permanent replacement, or speak to the current climate at the school. He did say they're excited for what Kelly will bring to the table. The school is putting together a transition and support plan.
The 17-year-old filing a lawsuit against Baraboo Schools is telling us more about how she says the district failed to handle sexual harassment and racial discrimination.
Every time an issue occurred, I would go and tell a principal. I would go to the office and ask to speak to a principal, and I would tell them what happened, and they told me that they would handle it, but it continued to happen, so I felt as though they weren't doing anything.
Deja Banks says she hopes the lawsuit opens the doors for better education on dealing with these types of issues so that no other student goes through what she went through. The school district says it has not yet been served with that lawsuit and wouldn't comment on it until it gets legal advice.
Developing right now, 2 City of Madison committees focused on race and gender equality are recommending action to address harassment and bullying among city staff. About a quarter of the city's workforce responded to a survey emailed in June. 25% of those respondents say they've experienced workplace harassment, bullying, or discrimination in the past year on the job. Less than half of those who experienced harassment reported it. Their main reason is the fear of being ostracized at work and not trusting the complaint process.
Middleton's police department is officially naming its new top cop this morning. Captain Troy Hellenbrand has been serving as the acting chief since Charles Falk's retirement last month. He beat out 2 other finalists and is officially taking over as the full-time chief. Hellenbrand has served the community for more than 20 years as a patrol officer, school resource officer, detective, and administrative captain. He was also one of the first to arrive on the scene of the workplace shooting at WTS Paradigm back in 2018.
The Dane County Sheriff's Office needs your help this morning solving a homicide investigation. The case started as a hit and run on Wednesday, but the Dane County Medical Examiner now says 26-year-old Nicholas Day did not die as a result of being hit by a car. Day was last seen running in the area of Highway JG near Bergham Road around 12:45 and 1:15 in the afternoon on Wednesday. Anyone with information is asked to call the Dane County Sheriff's Office.
Right now, a man wanted in a domestic violence case is in custody this morning after an incident at a hotel just off the Beltline. Police evacuated 2 floors of the Super 8 near Fish Hatchery Road Thursday. SWAT members had to be called in to assist Madison police in that arrest due to the man's criminal history.
1 person is in custody this morning on suspicion of an OWI after crashing into a building in Middleton. It happened near the Middleton Airport yesterday afternoon. Middleton police say the damage is pretty severe and that the car was actually inside the building when they got there. Police say there are only minor injuries at this time. Coming up on 6:08 this morning and still ahead for us on a Friday morning, we'll tell you how a local business is helping with relief in the Australian wildfires.
And we're looking ahead to a winter weather advisory for the weekend. Hattie's going to tell us when your family should stay off the roads. That's when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
This
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. It's Friday morning. We don't have any snow falling right now, so shouldn't have any troubles getting to work or school this morning. Getting home, though, might be a different story. Snow is expected to spread into the area this afternoon. That's why alert days are in the forecast. This storm system is going to impact travel across the area, especially tonight and early Saturday. So if you have travel plans, pay close attention to the forecast. Winter weather advisories will go into effect later on this afternoon. For most of the area, they'll start at 2 p.m. and then continue through Saturday afternoon. Here's the latest forecast consensus as far as snow totals are concerned. We're looking at a general 3 to 5 inch snow total for most of the area, slightly higher amounts north of Dane County. There also could be some lake enhancement to these snow totals, especially up towards Sheboygan. So if you have interest in that direction, keep that in mind. Here's a look at Doppler track this morning. Nothing happening around here. Things are pretty quiet, but we don't have to zoom the map out too far to see some significant precipitation. All colors on the map as well. There is some mixed precipitation falling right now across Kansas and parts of Missouri. This storm system is making steady progress to the north and east. It should cross the Mississippi River Valley by about 2 o'clock. So for us here in Madison and Dane County, that means that we'll start to see those snowflakes flying after 3 p.m. today, and then snow becomes likely this evening. So travel conditions are expected to deteriorate tonight. Temperatures currently are in the single digits in most locations, so it's another cold start to the day. Unlike yesterday, though, we don't have that strong northwesterly wind. Our winds are from the east, and they're generally less than 10 miles an hour, so wind chill's not a huge factor this morning. You still have to bundle up, but you don't have to worry about those wind chills. Your future track forecast model, if you want to time out this storm across southern Wisconsin, looks like this. At 7 o'clock, just some clouds moving into far southwestern Wisconsin. By lunchtime, most likely cloudy in all locations, but still dry. So if you want to run some errands at noon today, should be just fine. Again, here's 2 o'clock when that snow starts to approach the Mississippi River Valley. And then as we go through the afternoon, by 5 o'clock, most areas seeing some snow falling. So that's why I say this is going to impact the evening commute. Snow continues through the nighttime hours. There is the potential for some sleet or freezing rain to mix in for mainly areas south of Madison tonight. Could be some light sleet or ice accumulations. As we go through the day on Saturday, we'll see a changeover back to snow, and then that precipitation will come to an end in the afternoon. Here's a look at your extended forecast. It's going to turn quite windy and much colder behind this system. Get ready for wind chills around 20 to 25 below by Sunday morning. Thankfully, we're not dealing with anything like that. Let's check those roads now this morning. We'll send it over to Stacy Kay. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. No problems on the Beltline just yet. Nothing to slow you down in either direction. Expect volume to increase in about an hour, though. Checking out other roads here in Dane County, just some of the usual minor slowdowns at Stoughton and Park Streets approaching the Beltline. Volume is not an issue yet on East Washington and downtown. And other main routes heading into Madison, they are cruising along. No crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacy Kay.
Stacy Kay and Hattie, thank you very much. 6:14 is your time right now. So for a while, it seemed like it may not happen, but Lake Mendota is officially frozen this morning.
According to the Wisconsin State Climatology Office, the ice has to hold for 24 hours before it can be officially declared frozen over. They say that happened earlier this week on January 12th, 2 days after last year's second freeze date. The average freeze date is December 20th, but a warm December and first part of January had delayed the ice this year.
One of the main points they look at is that stretch from Picnic Point over across to Maple Bluff. That's actually the deepest point of Lake Mendota. And so once that freezes across, they can declare it frozen over.
20 people correctly guessed January 12th in the annual Clean Lakes Alliance Freeze Contest. Of those 20, Jennifer Borgstrom of Madison was randomly selected to win a $1,000 Land's End gift card.
New efforts are now underway in Dane County to prevent future flooding issues. The county is buying 79 acres of land in Middleton. The goal is to advance wetland restoration efforts, offer floodwater storage, and create new opportunities for public recreation. They say restoring the property and saving it from development will stop nearly 6 million gallons of water from flooding downstream. The land is next to Highway 14 and lies in the headwaters of the Black Earth Creek.
Looking ahead now, Microsoft is committing to remove more carbon than it emits by 2030. The tech giant says it's investing $1 billion to help develop clean energy technologies. By 2025, the company says it will buy enough renewable energy to offset 100% of its electricity consumption. And by 2050, it's committing to cut all the carbon it's emitted since the company was founded back in 1975.
As bushfires continue to ravage parts of Australia, the country is saving a prehistoric grove of pine trees. The species, secretly located within Wollemi National Park, dates back millions of years and is believed to have existed among dinosaurs. It's the only place in the world where the trees are found in the wild, and there are fewer than 200 left. As part of the mission, large air tankers of fire retardant were dropped inside the grove, and an irrigation system was set up to protect them from catching fire.
A local wine and spirit shop is stepping up to help Australian wildfire relief efforts. Table Wine on Atwood Avenue is donating a portion of proceeds from wine sales to a nonprofit called Wires that works to protect animals. New estimates say more than 1 billion animals have been killed in Australia's fires. If you'd like to help out, you can try any Aussie wine from Table Wine's glass list. All right, still ahead on News 3 Now this morning, a good weekend to stay inside. Our Will Loper joins us next to give us a look at what's headed to the box office this week.
But first, Hattie is tracking another cold morning at the bus stop before our next round of snow later today. She'll update us next on News 3 Now this morning. Welcome back at 6:20. We're following some breaking news into the First Alert Traffic Center this morning. The ramp to southbound interstate at Highway 19 is currently closed due to a disabled semi. A live look at that area right now. People hoping to get onto the southbound interstate from Highway 19 will have to take a detour over to Highway 51 to get onto the interstate until that semi can be cleared.
Pretty cold day to be out on the roads, and the snow is moving in tonight, Hattie.
Yeah, that's true. I do expect more travel impacts later on today. No impacts due to weather right now. Things are pretty quiet. Let's take a look at our temperatures. It is just 3, though, here in Madison, 0 in the Dells, 9 in Mineral Point. Some cloud cover moving into the Platteville area, likely bumping temperatures up now to 10 there. It's not as cold as it was yesterday, though, when you factor in the wind. Winds are very light from the east, and wind chills are right around 0, if not in the single digits below 0 for southwestern Wisconsin. So definitely not as cold as it was yesterday. You'll want to make sure to send the snow gear with the kids today, though. Even though it's dry this morning, snow becoming likely, especially here in Madison and points to the west. By the time school comes to an end, temperatures will top at 28. Coming up in Maine weather, we will talk more about this storm system and the impacts that it has on the area.
All right. Rex Harrison played him in 1967, Eddie Murphy in 98, and this weekend in theaters, Robert Downey Jr. takes on the doctor who can talk to animals.
Yeah, the movie is Doolittle, and our film critic Will Loper is here with a preview. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, guys. You know I always say this. Anyone who knows me knows I say this, but I say every generation gets their own version of Dr. Doolittle. And boy, I hope Mr. Downey brings it home for the current generation this weekend. Take a look.
We have no choice but to embark on this perilous journey.
When a young queen falls ill, Dr. Doolittle and his animals go on an adventure to find a cure for her.
It's okay to be scared. Hello, Patty. Hello, lunch. Somehow, we just belong together.
Doolittle is rated PG.
I love Robert Downey Jr. Doesn't sound like this got great reviews, though.
It's sitting at 17% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which is
rough.
I mean, the consensus, though, is that little kids are going to enjoy it, so if you need some little ones to be entertained for 2 hours, this may fit the bill, but adults may find it a little bit more of a struggle to go through. But yeah, you know, after Marvel, I feel like Robert Downey Jr. could choose any project in the world. And he decides to talk to a duck and polar bear.
Money probably changed hands
the paycheck, it's all about that money.
Right. All right. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, guys.
Still ahead for us, we've got the top 3 things you need to know this morning before you head out the door.
That includes an alert day forecast and how this snow system headed our way will impact students coming back to UW this weekend. That's when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for staying with us on this Friday, January 17th. I'm Leah Lynchai.
And I'm Josh Breiter. Hattie's talking about some alert days in the forecast, but we're going to start with your top 3 headlines right now. The Beloit School Board is now looking for a new superintendent after accepting Stanley Monroe's resignation. Top officials filed a formal complaint alleging Monroe used his position to intimidate staff. In a meeting, the board accepted Monroe's resignation agreement unanimously and left room for new leaders to be appointed as soon as next week. The board will start to interview candidates for the interim superintendent this weekend.
The second story we're following, the principal at Jefferson Middle School here in Madison is going on an extended leave of absence after a number of incidents this school year. The district notified staff and parents that Tequila Kurth made the decision herself. Former East High School principal Mary Kelly will be stepping in while she's gone.
And finally, the 17-year-old filing a lawsuit against the Baraboo School District is telling us more about how she says the district failed to handle multiple claims of sexual harassment and racial discrimination. Deja Banks says she hopes the lawsuit opens the doors for better education on dealing with these types of issues so that no other student goes through what she went through.
Those are your top 3 headlines on this Friday. Hattie's here now with that Alert Day forecast and a look at traffic. Hey, Hattie.
Good morning, Lee and Josh. Well, if you haven't done so already, just put the snow gear in the car today. It's not snowing right now, but it will be when you head home from work and school. So wear those snow boots today. There will be travel impacts later on. This morning, we're starting off with just cold conditions, but not as cold as yesterday. Winds are lighter, so wind chill isn't as big of a factor this morning. It does feel like it's in the single digits below 0, though, in a few spots. As you head out the door, I mentioned pack the snow gear. Again, snow will be developing later on this afternoon. Temperatures will top at 28 degrees later on today. A look at those traffic maps now here in southern Wisconsin. We have a couple of issues to report this morning. The entry ramp to I-39 southbound at Highway 19 is closed right now due to a stalled semi, so you have to route around that. There's also a stalled vehicle right at 151 as well at American Parkway. So a few stalled cars this morning with the cold temperatures. Also another stalled vehicle on the Beltline at Monona Drive. No other issues, though, to report. Looks like you're still going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. Coming up, we do see a light at the end of this very active weather pattern tunnel. I think if you're like me, your car looks more white than any color. Sunday would be a good day to wash it.
I will be one of those people doing it, Hattie. Thank you very much. 6:29 right now. Thousands of Badgers will be returning to campus this weekend, back to their home away from home after a month-long break.
But their return this year will be made a little more complicated by the snow. Christina Laurie is joining us this morning with that story. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Josh and Leah. Campus is about to get a whole lot busier. University residence halls open for the spring semester tomorrow, the same day that Madison is expecting several inches of snow. Now, traffic is always busy on campus during move-in, and now cars will be competing with snowplows. It can take up to 16 hours to completely clear Madison roads, and if a snow emergency goes into effect for the city, that could make things even more complicated. Even during move-in, or should we say especially during move-in, alternate side parking restrictions will be enforced during a snow emergency so crews can clear residential streets.
Not just the alternate side rules, which are important, but also the ones that are signed during the day, because we use those signed daytime parking restrictions to also do snow plowing in the winter so we can get that stuff back as well.
If you need to get anywhere near campus this weekend, please leave plenty of time. Cars will be competing for space with all the plows and people around the residence halls. And I know myself, the silver lining here is that those restaurants along State Street are going to fully reopen to their normal hours. Yes. You guys know how much I love certain spots on State Street, and it will be nice to have them back.
Good news all around, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.
6:31 your time now. The Wisconsin high school student accused of stabbing a police officer with a barbecue fork is being ordered to stand trial.
Police say 17-year-old Grant Furman tried to kill school resource officer Mike Wissink in December. A criminal complaint says Furman confronted Officer Wissink in his office at Oshkosh West. Wissink says the teen asked him to look up information on his computer and then stabbed him multiple times as he turned away. Wissink then shot Furman. The incident caused the school to evacuate. Nearby schools were put on lockdown. Now, for the first time, Furman's mom, Tina, is speaking publicly defending her son.
He's loved and supported by so many people. He's a good kid. I'm getting so much support from the community and family and friends. It's so heartwarming, and it's good to see so many people are supportive.
More than 30 friends and family were in that courtroom to show support for Furman and his family. He's been behind bars on a $1 million cash bond since his first court appearance last month. He now faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted.
The president is announcing new initiatives to expand prayer in public schools under the First Amendment. They're aimed at protecting religious freedom. The president says the new rules would make sure religious student organizations are given equal access to public school facilities. States will also be required to notify the Education Department of any violations.
In a sacred principle of our republic that government must never stand between the people and God.
The ACLU says it will vigorously oppose any action taken by the Trump administration that would inject school-sponsored prayer into public schools.
Right now, pretrial proceedings are underway for the third impeachment trial in U.S. history. Chief Justice John Roberts took over as presiding officer and gave the oath of impartiality to the senators. Opening arguments will start Tuesday with 7 Democrats serving as House managers prosecuting the case. This comes as a government watchdog agency bolsters their argument, announcing the White House Budget Office broke the law when it followed President Trump's order to withhold millions in aid to Ukraine. The White House hopes the impeachment trial lasts no more than 2 weeks, ending before the State of the Union.
We're following some breaking news overnight. We are learning that several U.S. service members were hurt during last week's Iranian missile attack on an airbase in Iraq, despite the Pentagon initially saying there were no casualties. CNN is reporting 11 service members were injured in that attack, which was launched in retaliation for the U.S. airstrike that killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Several are being treated for concussion symptoms as a standard procedure. The U.S. military defines a casualty as either an injury or fatality involving personnel.
Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader is calling President Trump a, quote, clown this morning, saying the president only pretends to support the Iranian people. He says Trump will push a poisonous dagger into the nation's back, adding Western countries are too weak to bring Iranians to their knees, and that Iran will not hold negotiations with the U.S.
A Wisconsin-based Guard unit is headed to Texas this morning before they head to Kuwait.
15 soldiers said their farewells to family in Madison yesterday. They make up the Milwaukee headquartered 924th Engineer Facilities Detachment. Governor Evers was there as well. All of the soldiers have construction and engineering experience with their full-time jobs. They'll essentially be serving as the Department of Public Works for what equates to a small city on a base in Kuwait.
We all raised our right hand and committed to this. So now it's time. It's our turn. We're up. Countless other soldiers have done it in the past, and so we're ready to.
Their training will happen in Fort Bliss, Texas. 6:34 is your time right now. Coming up in the morning sprint, we'll tell you how the county hopes to help prevent future flooding.
And we have a breakdown of what's happening in the 608 this weekend. Keep watching News 3 Now this morning.
Bring
Welcome back, everyone. It is almost the weekend here in the 608, and our partners at Madison Magazine are helping think about what you're going to want to check out this weekend.
Oh, yeah. First up this weekend, the ongoing series of music fests continues Saturday night at the Majestic with the Wisconsin Funk Fest. It features local favorites Fat Function, Immigrant, Black Market Brass, the Funky GBs, and DJ Film Money. Great names.
And here's a fun one. The Madison Roller Derby opens its 16th season with a doubleheader on Saturday at the Coliseum. First, the Reservoir Dolls take on the Vaudeville Vixens. Then the Quad Squad faces off against the Unholy Rollers. Quite the names. Head to the Coliseum at 5 p.m. tomorrow to support all of the full contact female empowerment fun that is Roller Derby.
Okay, if elegance is more of your taste, check out the latest Madison Ballet performance. It's performing Inside Out, sharing the life of dancers of color who struggle to meet the demands of conforming to traditional beauty norms. You have a chance to catch this one-of-a-kind performance Friday and Saturday, and the following weekend at the Bartell.
Of course, you can always go to the Madison Magazine to check out the best of the Madison area and check out this month's edition of that.
Lots of fun stuff always happening in our city.
Yes, the Badgers men's basketball team will be taking a look at, or take it to straight wins against, 4 straight wins that is, against ranked opponents later tonight. They're facing 15th ranked Michigan State and East Lansing after a bit of a slow start to the season. The Badgers are starting to hit their stride, winning 6 of their last 7 games, including wins over 5th ranked Ohio State, 20th ranked Penn State, and 17th ranked Maryland. Their win Tuesday night came in the final seconds thanks to a 3 from Brad Davison. Tip-off tonight is set for 6.
To the green and gold now. The Packers are in their final days of preparation before Sunday's NFC Championship game in San Francisco. They're hoping to fare better than their last trip to the Bay Area when the 49ers dominated them in front of a national audience. San Fran had a 23-0 lead at halftime before eventually winning 37-8. It was one of Aaron Rodgers' worst games of the season. He only threw for 104 yards. Kickoff for Sunday is set for 5:40 on Fox 47. And our team members, Melissa Kim and Adam Duxter, they're waking up in California this morning. They're going to provide us with live coverage from San Francisco, starting on Live at 4 and running through the weekend, all leading up to the big game.
All right, folks, and that means it's time to sound off on our Facebook page. Today, we're actually asking you who's going to win the NFC Championship this weekend, the Packers or the 49ers.
So far, it's looking like 80% Packers, as it should be. 20% San Fran. What do you think, Josh?
So the Packers are the underdogs in this case, and that's why I'm going for them. I think San Francisco has a more than a touchdown favorite over the Packers. I'm going to go for the Packers because I feel like the underdog always has a better chance.
There's a 7-point spread, but again, people in Wisconsin, we're not going to be logical. We're going to go with our team.
I know, yeah, that's pretty good. So make sure you go online to sound off and let us know where you stand. And while you're on Facebook this morning, you can send us a photo of your morning. Tiffany sent us this fantastic shot. Loving all of that right there, and I think we're going to see even more of that white stuff later today.
Indeed. I'm liking a little bit more ice on that lake there, too.
Yes, that too. All right, thanks for sharing, Tiffany. If you've got a photo that you'd like to share of your morning, please do so we can share our favorites right here on News 3 Now this morning. This morning, you're going to want to bundle up and keep your eyes on the forecast for later on. Hattie joins us next with a warning about some alert days and an extended forecast that's staying well below freezing for the next week.
Be prepared, folks. But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can share their picture on TV. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
For a forecast that keeps your family safe, watch First Alert Weather. Look who's
Welcome back at 6:44. We continue to follow this first alert traffic note for you this morning. The ramp to the southbound interstate at Highway 19 is currently closed due to a disabled semi. People hoping to get onto the southbound interstate from Highway 19 will have to take a detour over to Highway 51 to get onto the interstate until that semi can be cleared.
We are expecting some more traffic impacts this evening as an alert day snow system moves in. Hattie, right?
That's right. There are alert days in the forecast, 2 of them actually, today and tomorrow for this storm system. Let's get you all the latest forecast information. Snow is expected to develop this afternoon. That storm is already on the map and headed in our direction, so it's only a matter of time before that snow reaches us. There is still a chance for some mixed precipitation early Saturday morning, mainly south of Madison. This is going to impact travel around the entire area, though, this weekend. Take a look at your winter weather alerts that will go into effect today. Winter weather advisory for all of southern Wisconsin, but those advisories turn to winter storm warnings and eventually blizzard warnings as you head into western parts of Minnesota. Future track snow still forecasting that the heaviest snow is going to be well to our north and west, close to a foot in Minneapolis. For southern Wisconsin, a general 3 to 6 inch snowfall is expected for this event. And again, the bulk of that is going to come tonight. Now, your future track wind gusts, that's the other part of this storm system. Behind this system, here's 2:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. You see wind gusts picking up in the 35-mile-an-hour range here, 40-plus-mile-an-hour range across Iowa and Minnesota. As we put this map into motion, those strong wind gusts move into southern Wisconsin. So it's going to be very windy Saturday afternoon and evening. That will likely cause issues with blowing and drifting snow for the area. So even though the snow stops, it will still be treacherous to travel around the region. Here's a look at what's currently happening this morning. Nothing showing up on the radar map around here. You don't have to move too far, though, to see that snow and mixed precipitation on the radar map. It is advancing into Iowa. Some mixed precipitation for Kansas, parts of Missouri this morning. All of this moisture is lifting northward through the day today. So it is a pretty good chance, pretty high confidence that we're going to see this snow move in. What time exactly? Well, it'll likely cross the Mississippi River Valley around 2. So after 3 o'clock, our snow chances really ramp up here in Madison. Now, our temperatures this morning are cold, just like yesterday, but we don't have the wind to factor in. Wind chill is not a huge factor this morning. Your future track forecast model does show you maybe a little bit of sunshine early on. By the time we hit the lunch hour, though, those clouds move into the area. Snow continues then overnight into early Saturday morning. There is the potential for some mixed precipitation right along the state line in the form of sleet or freezing rain late in the overnight hours or early on Saturday morning. Snow then comes to an end later on in the day. It does turn windy, though, for the second part of the day on Saturday and much colder. We're talking wind chills around 20 to 25 below Sunday morning. We'll have the sunshine back in the forecast and quiet weather for a couple of days, but it will be very cold. Here's a look at Murphy in Madison. He's today's Pet Walk forecast. Pet 28 today. What a cute picture. Look at those ears.
Maybe stay on the couch today.
Not a bad idea.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint is up next. Stay with us. 6:51, time for the morning sprint as we give you all the news you need to know before you go.
That includes some alert days in the forecast for an incoming storm system. Hattie's tracking it all. She starts us off this morning. Hi, Hattie.
Good morning, Leah. That's right. It is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Winter weather advisories start at 2 p.m. for most of the area and go through the night into Saturday. Here's a look at our snow chances. They ramp up this afternoon, especially after 3 o'clock here in Madison. Snow continues overnight, but it will wind down through the day on Saturday. Total snow accumulation anywhere from 3 to 6 inches is expected for southern Wisconsin.
UW campus is about to get a lot busier, and Hattie, your forecast certainly is not helping. University residence halls on campus open for the spring semester tomorrow, and this year cars will be competing with snow plows. It can take up to 16 hours for street crews to completely clear Madison roads. This morning, they're reminding drivers to read all posted signs about where you can and can't park and for how long you can stay there. You can also get alerts sent straight to your phone by signing up on the City of Madison's website.
We will need your help turning things around, rebuilding relationships and trust.
The Beloit School Board will be looking for a new superintendent after accepting Stanley Monroe's resignation. 2 top officials filed a formal complaint alleging Monroe used his position to intimidate staff. The board accepted Monroe's resignation unanimously and left room for new leadership to be appointed as soon as next week. The board will start to interview candidates for interim superintendent this weekend.
Madison's new school superintendent will be announced in February after all 3 candidates were able to speak to parents and students last night. Dr. George Eric Thomas spoke at LaFollette High School. Thomas is the deputy superintendent for the Georgia State Board of Education in Atlanta. We also heard from the other 2 candidates this week, Dr. Marguerite Vanden Wingard and Dr. Matthew Gutierrez.
The principal at Jefferson Middle School is going on an extended leave of absence after a number of incidents this school year. The district notified staff and parents that Tequila Kurth made the decision herself. Former East High School principal Mary Kelly will be stepping in while she's gone.
The 17-year-old filing a lawsuit against the Baraboo School District is telling us more about how she says the district failed to handle multiple claims of sexual harassment and racial discrimination. Banks says she hopes this lawsuit opens the doors for better education on dealing with these types of issues so that no other student goes through what she went through.
He's loved and supported by so many people. He's a good kid.
That right there is Tina Furman. Her son, Grant, is accused of stabbing a police officer at school with a barbecue fork. Police say 17-year-old Grant Furman tried to kill school resource officer Mike Wissink in December by stabbing him multiple times. Wissink shot Furman in that altercation. He's being held on $1 million cash bond and faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted.
The Dane County Sheriff's Office needs your help this morning solving a homicide investigation. The case started as a hit-and-run investigation on Wednesday, but the Dane County Medical Examiner now says 26-year-old Nicholas Day did not die as a result of being hit by a car. Day was last seen running near the area of Highway JG near Burgham Road around 12:45 and 1:15 in the afternoon on Wednesday.
A man wanted in a domestic violence case is in custody this morning after an incident at a hotel just off the Beltline. Police evacuated 2 floors of the Super 8 near Fish Hatchery Road. SWAT members had to be called in to help police with that arrest because of the man's criminal history.
2 City of Madison committees focused on race and gender equality are recommending action to address harassment and bullying among city staff. About a quarter of the city's workforce responded to the survey. 25% of those respondents say they've experienced workplace harassment, bullying, or discrimination in the past year on the job. Less than half of those who experienced harassment reported it for fear of being ostracized at work.
New efforts are underway in Dane County to prevent future flooding issues. The county is buying 79 acres of land in Middleton. The goal to advance wetland restoration efforts, offer floodwater storage, and create new opportunities for public recreation. They say restoring the property will stop nearly 6 million gallons of water from flooding downstream.
Pre-trial proceedings are now underway for the 3rd impeachment trial in U.S. history. Chief Justice John Roberts took over as presiding officer and gave the oath of impartiality to the senators. Opening arguments will start Tuesday with 7 Democrats serving as House managers, prosecuting that case. The White House hopes the impeachment trial lasts no more than 2 weeks, ending before the State of the Union.
Breaking overnight, several U.S. service members were hurt during last week's Iranian missile attack on an airbase in Iraq. despite the Pentagon's initial claims of no casualties. CNN is reporting 11 service members were injured in the attack, which was launched in retaliation for the death of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani.
Iran's supreme leader is now calling President Trump a, quote, clown this morning, saying he only pretends to support the Iranian people. He says Trump will push a poisonous dagger into the nation's back, saying Western countries are too weak to bring Iranians to their knees and that Iran will not hold negotiations with the U.S.
The United States-Mexico-Canada agreement is heading to President Trump's desk after being overwhelmingly approved in the Senate. The agreement is designed to help America's farmers, with Canada agreeing to buy more dairy. It also eliminates pricing models that allowed Canadian dairy products to sell for less than American ones.
6:56 now. Stacey K is a look at your first alert traffic. Hi, Stacey.
Hi. Well, there might still be a disabled vehicle on the westbound Beltline at Monona Drive. The right shoulder might still be blocked, and that might cause a delay as the usual volume starts to increase between Stoughton and West Broadway. Plus, another disabled vehicle on the exit to Verona might cause a backup there. Inbound John Nolan already getting busy at the Rimrock and North Shore Drive intersections going downtown. And other main routes heading into Madison cruising along, no other crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacey K.
And thank you, Stacey. A beautiful sunrise that we're getting a glimpse of this morning. Unfortunately, the clouds are going to roll into the area through the morning hours. Here's a look at Doppler track. The snow is not that far off, approaching Des Moines as we speak. It will make steady progress towards us here in Madison. Temperatures will be a little bit warmer today, but look for that snow to spread into the area around 3 o'clock here in Madison.
All right, thank you, Hattie.
And thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with a view right now of the southbound interstate near Highway 19 where there's a disabled semi. Stay with First Alert traffic throughout CBS This Morning.
The deals